Hello Yahoo! So it's the month of December, which means that it's time for another round of fast food reviews. Now December is often associated with the festival of Christmas, and that's also the reason why so many of the fast food restaurants are actually putting out Christmas themed specials or having Christmas themed bundles or promotions. This time around we have 5 fast food restaurants to go through. It's a long list, it's a long video, so without further ado, let's go. Okay, to start things off, if we're talking about fast food and Christmas, there's one brand that we cannot deny, and that is KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Especially so if you're in Japan, because in Japan it's such a big thing to eat fried chicken during Christmas. And it all started with a little white lie told in 1974 by KFC's store manager, Takeshi Okawara. Basically said that, in America, they eat fried chicken for Christmas. Obviously not true. But the Japanese people took it and it rolled into such a big thing that they have a whole jingle with it, they have a whole campaign with it. The whole thing is so crazy that just before COVID happened in 2019, right, KFC even opened a 50-item buffet restaurant in Tokyo for Christmas. So it is, of course, without a doubt that I will feature our good old friend KFC and see what they have this time around for Christmas in Singapore. Unfortunately, the offering's not very Christmassy, to be frank. Whatever they have available for December is just the KFC X Lay's Barbecue Crunch. It's essentially KFC hot and spicy chicken coated with little crumbs of Lay's potato chips. A little concerned with the combination. But I mean, some people do eat their fried chicken with barbecue sauce, so maybe that's the flavor that I'm thinking in my mind. But here goes, itadakimasu. So this is breast meat. It's a little drier than what I like. Flavor-wise, it's a bit salty, to be frank, and not very spicy. A large portion of the flavoring actually comes from the Lay's potato chips. But the combination, to me, doesn't really add much. It kind of feels like if you had Lay's potato chips on one hand, and then KFC fried chicken on the other hand, and then you eat them one after the other with your mouth still full from the last bite. I gather that if you like your fried chicken to be very savory, this might be the fried chicken for you. The outer shell with the Lay's chips is what really is the only flavor that you get from the whole chicken. Maybe it's the contrast, maybe it's there's no marination or whatsoever it is, but when you bite into it, that's all the flavor you get, the outer shell. When you get into the chicken, it blends in comparison to the shell, which is a bit disappointing if you ask me. All in all, I admire the innovation that they put into it. Kind of reminds me of like those kitchen hacks, like those oven baked fried chicken whereby people just coat it with some cornflakes, or in this case potato chips, and then that's your flavor of the chicken. I would like to see a little bit more flavor in the chicken itself. Maybe they could have done a barbecue marinade with the chicken before frying and then piecing everything together. Just a suggestion, but overall I just find it a little bit too salty, a little bit too heavy on the flavor, and even now after I'm done with the chicken, right, my tongue is still tingling with it. I think I'll stick to the original recipe bucket for Christmas this year. Another contender in the fried chicken arena would be Texas chicken. While the packaging looks very normal, they actually brought back a Christmas favorite, which is the herb and garlic chicken, alongside the honey fruity butter biscuit. So the fried chicken is coated with a special marinade that comprises of different herbs and spices, including rosemary, garlic, oregano, blah blah blah, and all the kind of other stuff lah. And it smells very nice. The sauce is like a little bit more on the oil based kind of glaze, not the thick emulsion type of sauce. And it smells very strongly of garlic. and a little bit of oregano. Light and salty. There's not much of a sauce here, and it coats the chicken very well. You can taste it definitely on the skin, and the skin is like fried to the point that it's a little bit on the flaky side. Like you see flakes of chicken skin instead of a batter per se. Sure, the flavor doesn't really permeate into the meat itself, but at the very least, right, I feel that the chicken doesn't taste too strongly of that chicken fat taste, which I feel when you combine with the garlic and herb, right, might become a little bit too clashing in terms of profiles. I like this honey fruity butter biscuit. You want to see how moist it is? I'm not even using any extra strength. It's just falling apart on its own. You know the one that has all these diced up little candied fruit pieces? The bread slash cake. But this in a biscuit form, and it's super moist. Doesn't stick to the top of your mouth. That's a plus point. And that nice honey glaze on the exterior. Ooh, so good. I'd like to see more of the herb and garlic chicken next year. The entire year, not just for Christmas maybe. Let's take a break from fried chicken and move on to burgers. And of course, if we're talking burgers, chances are you want to think about the giant of all fast foods in Singapore, McDonald. And of course, they have something for Christmas. It's a gift of indulgence. We are talking about the Angus Mushroom Supreme. 100% Angus patty, grilled mushrooms, caramelized onions, and then you got a very interesting herb aioli sauce. Looks very normal actually. I'm not seeing a lot of caramelized onions in this. There you go. Caramelized onions. Very, very small pieces. Definitely very sweet, very caramelized. I don't know if it's an assembly thing, or is it a packing thing, or is it a delivery thing. I mean, I delivered it myself. I tapao and cycled back. But a lot of the caramelized onions ended up at the back of the burger. Yeah, I'm getting a lot more onions now. But I feel with all these fancy ingredients, right, the standout for me is actually the herb aioli. It's a little bit like a toned down tartar sauce, if you will. But I feel that's the one that, you know, stands out and contrasts with the heavy flavors the most. So you got like mushrooms, very umami. Beef patty, also kind of umami. Caramelized onions, very sweet. And then the aioli is the one that lightens down the overall bite a bit. Yeah, balance wise, I definitely feel that this is slightly on the heavier side, a bit more on the indulgent side. But it's still a good burger. Then again, this is the gift of indulgence, right? So you want it to be a heavy feast. Yeah, not bad lah. Alright, another fast food chain that's on the Christmas train would be Burger King. In fact, similar to KFC, they actually have a bucket offering as well, and that is the Santa bucket. But that's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is a 2017 Japanese creation that they actually brought it into Singapore for this year. And that is the Snow Cheese Whopper. Burger King brings in snow in the form of snow cheese. And you can get it as a snow cheese Whopper or as a snow cheese chicken. I might be wrong, but I remember earlier on it was supposed to be a tender grilled chicken, but in this case they've changed it to the tender crisp. But yeah, it's essentially just a standard Whopper with soft flowy cheese. It's hardened up a little bit. I've already reheated it once. I don't want to reheat twice, so I'm just gonna dig into it. We normally associate snow cheese with Korean fried chicken, you know, the cheese powder that is sprinkled on top. I'm assuming it is the same thing. I could be wrong, but I can't find anywhere to explain what this chopped snow cheese is made of. But if you're thinking like in terms of regular cheese, this is a lot more flowy, a lot more melty, a lot more snowy, and it goes into every crevice of the burger. So with every bite, right, you're bound to get a little bit of that snow cheese, and it keeps the overall burger kind of moist, kind of juicy. My advice is that if you're doing it as a takeaway, maybe you want to pop it in the microwave for like a 30-second reheat, and that should loosen the cheese and make it more flowy again. It's a big portion. One thing I very much appreciate about this Whopper is that while there's more stuff in this burger, it's not taller, it is wider, and so it's still rather easy to enjoy. The most mess you get is on your hands. You don't really get any mess on your nose, your chin, or sides of your mouth. So in the Whopper, you'll see stuff like, of course, the Whopper patty, some tomatoes, some onions. There's a lot of turkey ham as well. All of that wedged together with this melted snow cheese. Another thing to note is that the onions they put in the Whopper, right, they are not on the super caramelized, super cooked side. So it still has a little bit of sharpness. Not, of course, not to the point that it's raw lah, but the cheese can get a little bit heavy after a while. But whenever you get that onion, right, the sharpness just cleans away that heaviness of the cheese. So you can continue to enjoy your burger. I like it. All in all, I find it as a very luxurious tasting version of a regular Whopper with the snow cheese added on. It really melts away and then like fills in your bite to give it a very blended together flavor. I appreciate that the onions they add aren't overcooked, over caramelized, so there's still a little bit of sharpness from it to help ease away the gelatinous that of it. In terms of like what the cheese brings to the table slash burger, it does add a little bit of flavor, but most importantly is that wetness, the melty cheese, the texture that it brings. In terms of like wetness, I would rate it like I will put it at an in-between of a regular Whopper versus if you imagine a mushroom Swiss. One burger is good enough. I don't think I could have finished it if I had like onion rings and drinks at the side. So yeah, it's nice. We seem to be going around Japan quite often because the next fast food restaurant we are featuring is from Japan, alongside with a somewhat stealth rebranding of sorts. Do you remember Mountain Ocean Sun? No, I don't remember. This is Moss Burger with the Jolly Cauli chicken. It's essentially crispy fried chicken patty with a tamarind mayonnaise and a snowy cauliflower sauce. Very interesting, and one thing I really like about Moss Burger is that despite them being not so fast, they do nail it with the presentation. This is straight out of the packaging. I didn't even have to do anything with it. So pretty. This is very unlike anything that I expected of the burger when I read the description. It is crispy fried chicken, but the skin is different from your usual chicken patty that we've come to expect of almost every other burger using that. The skin is a little bit tougher, but still maintains that full crunchy. I think the best way to describe the skin of the chicken patty is if you're thinking of either tatsuage or karaage. That kind of skin, not the flaky tempura style batter. I'm not getting a lot of the tamarind in the mayo, to be honest, but I'm getting the creaminess of the cauliflower sauce. Yeah, so the cauliflower sauce, right, I wouldn't really call it a sauce. Granted, it is a snowy cauliflower sauce. It's closer to a cauliflower puree in the sense that mashed potato kind of consistency, and it thickens up at the top of your burger. And somehow, A little bit of the color from the purple cabbage bleeds into the sauce itself. So it's actually quite pretty lah. Oishi. Alright, so those are the Christmas/December specials from the various fast food restaurants in Singapore. All in all, I think it's a good mix of like very festive ones and the very innovative, not so festive ones. But one thing that's for sure for all of them is that they're all tasty in their aspects. And what I can say is that, let's say if you want to do a Christmas potluck with up to 5 people, up to 5 guests, you can very easily buy one large amount of any of them, put it in a pot, and that's your potluck winner right there. Confirm crowd favorite. I would suggest trying every of those items that we reviewed and let us know if you like it or not. Until then, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We'll see you next year. Bye bye.